What's up, guys? Jeremy Clark here, coming to you from the Premium Tier Futures Discord. And we're going to jump in and just chat about the markets. So, thanks for watching. All right, guys, what's up?
But yeah, not much.
Hey, dude, you're talking about silver right now, right? What's the ticker you look at?
I use I watched it on TradingView and it's SL1. I think it's to do with futures contract.
Oh, I see. I
SL1.
see.
That's the futures index.
Yeah,
Cool. Let's see if I can pull that up.
How much of that did you buy? Like physical silver?
about 30 ounce,
wow.
3 10-ounce bars. One
Nice.
for each kid. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe there's some. It won't be worth anything like that, but they're still kind of cool to be able to hand to my kids someday. And maybe a big chunk of silver for you.
So is that trading like at $48? Is
Yeah,
that correct?
almost 48. I have it 48, 44 right now.
Let's see, you said it was SL1. Is the ticker on that?
Yeah,
I don't see it. That is that's an index, right?
that is. If they're on TradingView, it's under futures.
Oh, it's under futures. Okay, gotcha. Silver. So just silver futures. Is that on Comex?
Yes,
Got it.
that's what I use. I don't know if that's right or not. I really just started watching silver maybe a couple months ago. But it seems to be correct.
Oh wow, it is in a serious uptrend. Look at that.
Yeah, this is April. Ever since the tariffs, the tariff crap.
Yeah, everyone freaked out and was like, "We better start buying like actual gold and silver."
Yeah, I got really interested in it when I started learning that there was like price manipulation going on with it, and learning that I think it was J.P. Morgan had a $1 billion fine like a year or two ago because of what they were doing to try and manipulate the price. So
What's crazy to me is that high in the 80s, all the data that goes back. That's crazy.
yeah,
Oh yeah. I don't even know
Wow.
if mine goes back that far, but we got. A lot of times what happens with those when those companies get fined, it's like that's just the cost of doing business for whatever manipulation they're pulling, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't slow them down, Like
right. I
it's
know.
just like, yeah, we hit a little gray area, we hit a little, might have done something a little shady, but we push it through and pay the fine and move on.
You know what? You know what I bought? Like, what was it in 2023? Was I bought a few shares of Capital One stock? Remember when I was working there
Oh yeah.
and you would pop into a cafe? Well,
Yeah.
Warren Buffett. I think I remember mentioning this. I think you might have mentioned it as well. But Warren Buffett had bought in. I forget how much percentage of their portfolio in Capital One stock. And I already, just from working there, I kind of already knew. In terms of the big major banks and online banks, Capital One was like a solid one. They have good advertisement and good marketing when it comes to sports. They're like connected to college football, MLB, NBA, whatever. But also their products are pretty solid compared to like your traditional retail banks. And so I was
Yeah.
already like buying employee stock with our employee plans or whatever. But outside of that, when I heard Warren Buffett had bought some stock, I was like, yo, I'm gonna buy some more, and I think it was trading right around $90 to $100 at that time.
Wow.
So it's doubled. It's doubled at this point. Now, granted, obviously we've been making higher highs overall, so a lot easier. But still, that was one where I was like, yo, probably should have bought some more too.
Man, that's a good call. I was,
Right.
I've always been curious about that because the news will release or before he stepped down, whatever Buffett was buying. And I'd want to jump in on that, but then I'd always wonder if it's like a manipulation and we're gonna get dumped on.
Right. That's why I never really engaged in that way. Like, really, Capital One was mainly because I worked there. So I was like, okay, I can see, like, yo, we actually have people in here. People are interested in the higher savings, high yield savings accounts. Obviously, they're known for the credit cards, and they just bought out Discover.
Oh, really?
Like a year ago. Yeah, that merger finally like happened. So I mean, yeah, like they're taking over the credit card game. They tend to make a lot of business off of high loan interest rates, which that's a tough business to be in, but it works for them, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if they're able to offer products like that, it's a license to print money for them.
Right.
Yeah. I really dug that Capital One Cafe that's at the Americana.
Right.
I've been to a couple of the other ones. I think I told you the one downtown is just like a little cubby, and they close early.
Small.
I think they close at 6 or 7 at the latest. And then the one in Hollywood it's just kind of like, it feels a little dirty. It's right there on the Star Walk. It's not that big. The people are super checked out that work there,
Yeah.
and like
They're just
when I was talking to you and like your buddies over there, they were always like super helpful, but I love the whole concept where it's like people walk in, they're like, where's the teller? There's no teller, there's ATM machines. And like, I used my Capital One for a while. That was my go-to account to buy Bitcoin, right? Because I could I could drop money into the ATM at Capital One and get instantly credited, and then immediately send that over to my Square Cash account and immediately buy Bitcoin, and then immediately send that Bitcoin to like Kraken or somewhere. And then, and I still use that kind of approach. I think I'm using Venmo now.
That brings me to an interesting question. When did you guys buy your first Bitcoin? Any dollar amount?
Oh, I bought way back in like 2013.
Wow.
Just small amounts, but I sold it as soon as it went up. I had a whole Bitcoin in 2020, or maybe 21. I bought it for 7,000. I sold it for 42. But I wish I'd held on to it. But I needed money at that time, so
yeah. No,
I wanted to take some profit.
Especially with the pandemic. Yeah, no.
Yeah, and I didn't understand the halvening cycle as well as I do now. I knew we were going to go into a bear market for at least a couple years, and that would be tough. And it really seems like even the third year of the cycle, it'll test the lows. So if you want to hold through 3 years of testing the lows and then wait for that parabolic move, you got to just kind of like ignore all the ups and downs in the meantime. But,
literally making new all-time highs right now.
Yeah.
I bought last March of 2024 is when I really started buying it, and I've never sold any. I've been home just trying to accumulate one coin this whole time.
Man, that's
I'm
brilliant.
getting there.
Man,
I'm getting there.
solid. Yeah.
Yeah, I always try to flip a little bit of my profits into Bitcoin, or at least some crypto.
That's smart.
But my Bitcoin holdings are pretty small right now, but I'm just kind of like adding to it each time I have a little bit of extra. And I like that approach. I think that's good.
See, I remember buying, similar to how you were talking about, where you would deposit money into the ATM and flip it into, or buy Bitcoin with it immediately.
Yeah.
I would do that, but the reason I was buying Bitcoin, well, you know what? I'll go back. My branch man, I started in banking like at 18, right? Like as a teller. And I was going to community college, and one of my first managers, he was an Indian guy, very nice guy. His name's Cameron. He was buying Bitcoin at that time because one of his colleagues had told him about it, right? This is 2017. I graduated high school 2016. And yeah, he was doing really well with it. Like, he was buying it when it was a couple thousand. I remember, like, at one point during my time there, we ran up to 17K. I don't know if you guys remember that. We ran up to 17, maybe the 20s, and then eventually kind of pulled back like to 10 and 5 and so on and so forth.
Was that the 2017 like December
2017
yeah,
run.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Because it spiked up. It spiked up
a lot. Yeah.
It spiked up to 10, and then everyone freaked out and started selling, and then it spiked up again, and then it went up to like 17, and then it dropped off again, and then that alt season that followed that was epic as well.
Right. And 2018, that's when 2018, 2019 is when we had that pullback, right? 2018 for sure. I'm pretty sure we dropped to like 3K, 5K, 7K. We're trading right around there within the, 3 to 10K mark. And I had been wanting to buy some at that point, but you know what I had bought because it was more affordable, and I didn't understand too much of like the fractional shares at that point.
Yeah.
Like being able to, I can buy a little bit. He would tell me like, you can just buy a little bit. And I was like, I want to own one completely, so I'm not going to buy until I can, buy one fully, right?
Yeah.
But I was buying Litecoin because Litecoin at that time was pretty inexpensive relative, a couple hundred at some points, maybe less than 100, whatever. And Ethereum as well. Because that's what he was buying, right? So I was like, okay, he's making money, so let me just try. And he would tell me, he's like, you know what, just put 10% of your paycheck aside, even if it's like just $20, $30, whatever it is, and eventually you'll be able to buy some, some bigger, with bigger capital, you'll be able to buy more. So I started doing that. But for me, growing up, my dad, like, he used to sports bet. He still does, right? And I grew up watching sports and playing sports. So for me, it was just like a great use of entertainment, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I started getting Bitcoin, fractional Bitcoin, because I wanted it to be able to place some wagers through this sports betting website that operated in the EU called Nitrogen Sports, which I think is still up. But you can convert your USD to Bitcoin and immediately, place wagers. For me,
cool.
It was NBA because I watched NBA a lot. So, and that's kind of how I got into buying Bitcoin, but like very small amounts, right? Just for fun, for entertainment, gambling,
but
and that's
so
where
you got into it to kind of bypass the U.S. regulations that way.
Right.
So you could actually
exactly
gamble like an adult, that has free will.
So
and
I didn't have to be in Vegas to gamble, right? To play wagers. So it was so cool though, because I would get paid out. And so now I look back though, and some of my screenshots, I'm like, damn, I was buying like fractional shares at $3,000, $4,000, $7,000 price of Bitcoin. I'm like, man, if I would have just bought one or a couple, I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah.
I know. I think about that a lot because around the time I first bought it was when it was like 300, and I thought I was in too late because there were people that bought millions of them, and then it went up to $300 and they became like multimillionaires. And I remember just being like, oh, it's $300. Should I buy a whole one or should I buy like this piece of audio equipment? And I think I bought the audio equipment. But I know that like had I had a few of them at that time, I would have sold them at 700. I wouldn't even have held for I think 3,000 was the first peak, and then what was it, 20,000 was the second peak. I wouldn't have held through all that. I know it.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I'm like, I could have bought way back in the day, but I definitely wouldn't have held on to it all this time.
Yeah.
I remember watching it. I remember watching it hit 60,000 for the second time and then start selling off to 15,000. Man, should we buy here or is it going to go lower? And I really, really watching it there. So when it got back to 60K, I'm like, oh, this thing has got to stay. Now I better start easing into it at least. That's why I started buying that there.
Right. Yep. And in 2021, I would say is when I started started paying myself in Bitcoin, because I was working for a bank and about 30% of my paycheck at that time, I would immediately transfer to Coinbase to convert on a spot for Bitcoin immediately. So I was literally trying to pay myself in Bitcoin, so I wouldn't have a choice but to hold on to that. And I did that for like 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's good to have like some sort of system where you just keep dropping the excess into Bitcoin like that.
Yep.
Right. I was dollar cost averaging, but see, here's the thing. I had to hold for I think I was converting maybe like at 55,000. It was 40,000 at one point, 55,000, 60. When we were running, we had that good run, and eventually, I think we hit the low of 30. So I forget where it was at, around that time after a few years. So I was definitely buying at a relative high at that time. But I was dollar cost averaging. But eventually I stopped. It's funny because you stop once it goes down. It's like, all right, time to convert this back to actual currency.
I know. Yeah, I was doing that with I think with like Sonic, which used to be Phantom, and I was just kind of like buying it at the high. I knew it was at the high, but it was like a shock when it came down. It's like I could have expected that.
What I will say is, my ex-girlfriend's dad, he was very interested in like learning about Bitcoin, and because he had solids, he had gold, like actual physical gold and silver as well, and so he was really into that. And so I remember him, saying like, you know what, like you've convinced me, I'm gonna buy some Bitcoin. So you know what he did is he bought like 30K of Bitcoin for himself, and then he bought 5K of Bitcoin for his daughters at about, we were trading maybe $27,000 Bitcoin price. So I think they're doing good. If they're still holding on to that, they're doing good. So I hope he still thinks about me.
Yeah, right?
They actually give you a cut.
Yeah, what's your percentage on that? I've been messing around with the Fibonacci's on Bitcoin, and this sort of a cup handle thing that happened here. I'm kind of was just looking for the first big pullback and the first jump off zone. So previously I had marked it, I think right here at 38, and then the top. So no, that's not right. I had this marked so that basically, yeah, I think it's that. So I went off the bottom of this last pullback, which was 49, and I was just looking at the percentages, and so I had roughly 125.7 or so as the 127% extension, and here we are. It's nudged up right against it. The thing about that, a lot of times what happens in a bull run is it'll come up and it'll kind of test underneath the extension, and then it'll come back down and test at the 100% line, which you can see it did right here, and it did it again.
Yeah.
So it double tested it on the weekly, and then it came back and tested above it on the weekly. So I'm kind of not expecting it to pull back to 109. I think that last test of 109 was the back test, which means if it breaks above 125.7, the next target I have is like around 139, 140. I would imagine it would go all the way to 140 because it's a psychological level.
Yep.
And just looking at the extensions, I mean, we easily hit, I think this is actually the 300% extension is 229. And I think in the last run we did that, so that's to be expected.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that for sure getting to 140.
Yeah, I mean, that's a given. That's right here at the top of the trend line too, and there's still room for it to blow past that trend line and then come back down to the midline and back test. So
like you said, I think it's less likely it'll come back to 109 if it does test 140 first. But I would say that if it does get back to the low 100s,
yeah,
100 110 would be a great buying opportunity for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should have come down, right? Because I can see that for sure bouncing and then, creating the continuation for the next couple of years for sure, no doubt.
Right.
Yeah. I
was really waiting for this more recent pullback where we got to 108, and I bought a little bit at I think 111.5 or something like that, but I was really hoping it would hit the 618 fib number. It was like a 15% correction level around 106, and it just never got there. And I'm like cursing myself I didn't just pull the trigger.
I was gonna say, I remember you messaging that about the 106 level.
I remember that too.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
I was hoping, but I picked up a little bit, went on that pullback, so I can't complain too much.
That's cool. I'm
Yeah.
glad you got some of that pullback.
Yeah, that's my plan. Is just dollar cost average every week, and then whenever there's at least a 10% correction, to buy a big chunk.
That's cool. So
Okay.
waiting for that 10% correction to DCA. And
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, I DCA now, but like to buy a big purchase of it, I'm waiting for at least 10% correction, and then
Gotcha.
I kind of set my sights on a specific level.
That's cool.
What are you guys seeing on the ES today, right now? Are you guys waiting for a possible pullback, or are you guys trying to play a continuation?
I think there's a range. Let's see if I can pull this guy in. Just looking at the tick chart. Whenever we get a bunch of high volume up here on this, and then you can see there's not a lot of liquidity being added up top. Like, we had this breakout, which kind of happened right when we started talking, and there was a lot of volume, but it petered out, and now it's gone sideways again. So I kind of think it's testing as the top of the range. Not to say that it couldn't go higher, but if I pull the range chart in, let's see where that is. So that's the little breakout that happened. But just looking at this horizontal range, you can see this volume peak right here. The high volume node is corresponding roughly to the midline of this range. So I think my levels are correct. You notice there's a high volume node there that it's being attracted to. So, if we get a little bounce right in here, like if this holds, it's kind of testing the top right there.
Failed breakout potentially.
Yeah, I'm thinking failed breakout, and it comes back down to at least VWAP 67.80 to 67.79 or something. But it would have to hold this level to invalidate that.
That pullback that happened just before we broke out here. What was it, about 20 minutes ago? That's poor structure.
Nice little pullback here for possible continuation towards the high again, but there every now and then, like with this type of on the 1 minute at least, with this type of candlestick, this type of action, every now and then you will get like some crazy volume come in and bring this to the low of this range that was created, but I think it's more rare. Usually you tend to see a bounce here.
Yeah,
like you said, maybe a fake breakout. Maybe we can go and test that previous high on Friday. But I think like you said, that's where the range will probably stop.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch technical analysis, but think about fundamentally, we have the FOMC and everybody's thinking we're getting another rate cut. So are they trying to get out ahead of it? They're just buying it now. We might make a new all-time high today. Who knows? Just because we're all just trying to get in before the move.
That's an interesting point. If they do announce the rate cut, do you think it'll be this Wednesday? Assuming that the government open, or would it be more of like a hint, like what they're going to do, the third week of October or something? I don't know when they have it planned.
Right. Good point. I don't know.
Yeah, just to touch on what we were talking about earlier, all this data, there was a ton of data last week that didn't get released because of the shutdown. And then we've got FOMC plus more data this week. And let's just, assuming they open back up, do we have any insight on, is that just all of a sudden all that data gets released like all at once, and there's just this chaotic volatility that comes because of that? Or
I'm going to ask AI right now what happens.
Yeah, that's a good thing to know in advance. Because I'm assuming they'll just release it. But
Tell me what you know, Grok.
I'm just looking at the market profile. For the pre-market profile was kind of a range shape. The session profile looks like it's forming a P shape.
Well, here's something to consider. Overnight and regular trading hours have been 100% net long if you consider previous day's close. We've been trading completely above those levels. So I think there's a lot of stops sitting down at the bottom of the low. And technically, one might look at that low and say that's a weak buy location, considering it's right at the overnight low. There's the potential for this thing to break down and at least go and test around the lows of Friday. I don't know. It's definitely still all inside Friday's range, so
Yeah.
you're right. This is still an imbalanced position, essentially.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
agree with that. I'm looking for that play towards VWAP eventually. Once this starts to subside, this chop starts to subside, maybe get some momentum towards VWAP.
Yeah, that was
I would
nice on
say,
Friday, that breakdown.
Oh yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah. We might get something similar again today. A late breakdown and then probably a bounce in the end period or the last 30 minutes of the day. Keep it back within these highs.
That short on Friday, where do you guys like to play it? Like, if you go back on Friday's chart, let's say
Yep.
maybe after 9:30 a.m.
yeah,
where do
okay,
you
so that's
pick your
this
entries?
lighter colored area right here. This is the 30-minute chart. So this would be Friday.
Mhm.
You were talking about
Friday.
9:30.
I can tell you exactly where I took a short on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
let's hear
where
it.
did you get in?
So we had that breakdown. We had that big breakdown. It was 1 o'clock my time. So what, like 10 a.m. your time, I think? And it bounced off of 67.77 and started to recover. And it made two, like, not perfect legs, but it made two measured legs back to about the 67.90. And I shorted on the break of that. I thought for sure we were going to continue, because if you look at market profile from Friday, we had a poor low. The A and B period low was sitting there one tick from each other. And we hadn't broken that yet. We did
Okay,
a nice little pullback.
Explain what you mean by that. Were you talking about this low here from the Friday pre-market?
No, I can share my screen. I can show you.
Yeah, pull that up.
If I can figure out how to do it, share my screen.
Yeah, it's over on the.
Is it showing?
It's not showing yet, but yeah, if you go over on the left in the menu at the bottom, I think you can hit on share screen. You might also need to click on which screen you're sharing. There should be an option at the top for, like, there's some tabs.
Yeah, let's see. See that now?
Let's see. Yeah, I think I see it. Yep, here it is.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I'm gonna pull this in to the recording here as well. Okay, we are good.
Okay, so I'm gonna try. This is tick chart. This is tick chart. This is how I trade. Let's see. I've got rid of a lot of these levels, but we can still throw them in here. This vertical line I'm going to put in is basically the opening line, and the end of A period. I can put this down in this area. And the beginning of B period. Not really showing on my screen. I don't know why, but it's just basically a poor structure down here. Whatever this line
So-
was poor.
Just to clarify, you're talking about the A period TPO. Is that right?
Correct market
Okay.
profile.
So that's basically the first 30 minutes of trading since the regular open, the cash open or New York open.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
which I think actually starts right around here. I think this is like the bottom of A period, right where my cursor is.
Okay.
And then this is the bottom of B period, so it was kind of exacting lows.
I
And
see.
it ripped up to the all-time high here. And after it made this big liquidation and started to recover, I watched this for basically two legs back. You got one leg there, and then a second leg up to here.
Gotcha.
So I was looking for a short in this area. And this candle right here is, I went short right underneath this red candle. It's not ideal setup, but I knew that this poor structure needed to still be cleaned up. I knew the sellers were going to be
Well, it's a decent risk to reward right there off that candle.
Yeah.
You know, in that
Yeah,
way.
I agree. I think that's what makes it a good setup. Is that, like Phil said, the risk to reward is really good there.
Exactly. And I was aiming for basically this swap here. I think we were going to make another low on it. I think I ended up getting out before a new low was set, but obviously I should have held on much longer. But it was kind of what I was looking for. I was expecting to do one leg and then maybe a second leg down to make a new low.
Yeah.
I actually got out down. I think I actually got out right here. So I rode this thing for like 87 down to
So you held that big pullback.
yeah, and that this 68 level was Thursday's VPOC right in here,
Okay.
and it was naked. We hadn't tested it in
The
real close.
interesting part about that too is, like, sorry to interrupt you, but where you say you would have got it, you got out, is where I would have been ready to get in for another short.
There was another short right here too. I mean, I could see it, second entry short. Still.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Which is so interesting, because I would never get in where you got in, where you took that short on that green candle, and then you have the reversal. I would have had to wait for more confirmation, and
This
that's
is
why I
another
would
reason.
have. Yeah,
I'm
yeah, no, I
showing you
see.
we had this downtrend in the channel,
Right.
so we came back to test it, and it was failing again. So I'm like, all right.
So, can I tell you where I got in on this?
Yeah.
Can you scroll back to the top, and then pull it to the right a little bit? So, I caught that big run up off the last little bull flag or pullback. Yeah, I caught that, and I caught that for like 56 ticks or something. And I was running 2 accounts, and I was feeling really good about it. And then it went horizontal, and I basically got chopped out and gave back all my profits. And then I went down on one of the accounts, got out of sync. But what happened was, at that high where that gold box is highlighting, every time it tested the high, it was getting sold down aggressively. I could see it on the order flow, and I could see we're kind of at the range high on the market profile. And I was really thinking we were in an uptrend. It was above the R1 floor pivot. It was about 3/4 of the way above or underneath R2. And my bias was like, we're going to R2. This is an uptrend. And I really ignored what I was seeing, which was that this thing was getting sold off. And so, and I consciously knew that. I would just like literally was like, oh, it's getting sold off. Like, no, I'm going long, and I messed myself up.
You'd never think that they would end it right at 6,800, such an exacting level.
Well,
now
it makes sense when you
level.
when you show me that's the all-time high and a psych level, that makes sense. So I was thinking about Lance Britstein had this. He posted this quote, trade what the market is doing, not your bias. And I always keep that in mind. So when I saw this thing starting to make from the ATH starting to make these lower highs, and when I saw it back test, this is where I got in short. And I made back my money plus 16 or 17 ticks on that drop.
Right. I mean, this movement here, this selling action is just so beautiful. There's so many places.
It was so clean.
It was so clean. And see, here's the thing too for me. So I didn't take the short at all. I actually took a bounce and was able to take, I think it was like, I don't know if I took 18 or 20 ticks later in the day, or actually at the end of the trend basically.
So it was one of these.
I took the first bounce. The
bounce.
first bounce off of 60, I think, with stops at 58.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying
Gotcha.
that.
Yeah, there you go. And I knew that I needed to get it out of that quickly, and so I just basically took it to the high of the opening at 10:51. The open red candle at 10:51, and just quickly scalped that. But the interesting part is that I would have taken the short. Oh, there was two places that I would have liked to think that I would have taken a short at on this entire downtrend, and it would have been right after the 10 a.m. candle printed. At 10:01, I would have taken the short there, and then, as I mentioned, on the little shoulder maneuver, maybe like 10:50 would have been the next short I would have probably been able to take. Now, the first one, the reason I kind of felt that we were going to get a pullback was because of that big red candle we had. Well, how many points was that? Like, let me see, what do we have? 22. It was about 4 points, right, on the ES at 10 a.m.
What?
Gotcha.
Up in here.
Right there, yeah, that 4-point candle. Once I see that momentum come in, I know that like there is a strong opportunity. This is just gonna drop to at least the low, right? At what's that prior low to your left? I think around there. You go.
Right here.
Yeah, that's where I would have known there could be a bounce there, obviously, or in this little area, but at least my trade would be protected. Like I'm comfortable with my entry enough that if this were to go against me immediately, I'm okay with getting stopped out because this is probably not going to work anymore. Once we lost that low at 950, where we had like the little on the 1 minute candle, we had like a little tweezer at 950, 951, and we couldn't get that. If you look at 950, Dave, right there.
Right here, yeah.
Yeah, the little area. Once we lost that by that candle that completely engulfed everything at 10, right? That's where I knew, okay, we lost that opportunity, or that's where I felt, right? That, hey, what I've seen before is we lose that opportunity to go back and test new highs. We may need a pullback. If anything's going to happen today, right? If there's going to be any sort of retest of that high, there's going to be an opportunity to get back to VWAP. And that's why I would have taken that trade. But, you know, I didn't take either of those, which was interesting. But once we got overextended, and, you know, I also knew that there was a possibility for some sort of range. I was like, okay, you know, I can kind of scalp this. Just got to get in and out within like seconds. So, you know, I played that real quick, but that was kind of it for me on Friday. I didn't really take any other trade.
Yeah, I kind of gave up at the end too. It's like I made some back and I'm just going to just peace out at that point. I didn't trust myself.
Yeah, there's a couple good trades. You have a triple test here off the all-time high. You have this little one that you were just talking about. First entry, second entry short. Oh man, a good long here. The two legs that I waited for. My short really, I mean, the only thing I really had going for me was this downtrending line and the fact that I could see two legs going back. But this candle's not a good signal bar. It's inside this big bullish bar.
Yeah.
Luckily, it worked out for me.
Yeah, no, but see, that's the thing is what I noticed. I feel like you tend to take a lot of those trades, right? Those moves. That's where you probably have good ROI. I just, for me, like,
Yeah.
because I'm primarily like a price action trader, like I really just look at the candles. Really, I mean, I have the DOM next to me, but that's really it. And my entry is more like, it's really based on at least an hour, 2 hours of data, right? Of just candlestick data. And I try to position myself with channels, obviously, but also just finding those like little 1 minute candles where I'm like, okay, once this closes, usually I'll have a nice opening on the next candle. And if it's going to work, it would have been perfect, like the way I showed in these two trades.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I have to kind of abstain from trading or from taking a trade because then I get chopped as well. Especially, you know, when my stop loss, I typically have around 8 ticks. So I just try to play it tight.
Yeah, that's good. I think 8 ticks is, you don't want to lose more than that for sure. Dave, something else I wanted to mention on that where it topped out and then it capitulated. Something that you don't really see because this is the tick chart. That gold horizontal area was it
Yeah.
actually took a really long time.
Oh, yeah, right.
It
It was from noon for me, and it was like an hour inside.
yeah,
this
that's
thing
like an hour.
before it broke down.
Yeah, and it might look different on a minute time frame chart, but I was sitting here watching it on the tick chart and going, man, this thing is just stalling out, and it's just taking forever. And that's one of those big clues is when it goes horizontal and it takes forever. Usually that's a reversal. So that was a big clue that I finally caught on to.
And it's so weird because you don't get the symmetrical right shoulder. You don't really get, maybe a right high shoulder where we break the high and then just pull back and absolutely trap everybody. You get this lopsided weak right shoulder is what I would call it.
Yeah.
Where it tends to provide that nice momentum sometimes when it happens nicely. Because everybody's just trapped at that point. You're talking about, you were getting chopped.
Yeah, I was going long.
Everybody here.
I didn't get chopped because I just wasn't looking at the chart at that time, right? So that's why I got lucky. But I hear you on that, and I think the same thing happened today. If we look at the 8:45 a.m. to 10:20 a.m. today before this breakout that we had, we have the same kind of thing going on, right? We have that range creating a breakout, and now we're at highs again here. And
So you're talking about 11:25 Eastern, I think. Is that right?
Oh yeah. 11
inside here. Or are you talking about this little area here?
I'm talking about today's chart at, I guess for you, 11:45 a.m. Yeah, 11:45.
Oh,
About 120 right now. Yeah, there you go. And look, we're just trading on the upper range of that right now.
yep. We just found support at the top of it, so should get a new high. If we don't, could be coming back down. I still feel like, if you look at the market profile, with this little pullback right here is poor. The bottom of this range,
Yeah.
it should be cleaned up, and it may not get cleaned up today, but according to market profile, it should get cleaned up. It's really the only poor structure that I can see.
And we have a
today.
nice trend, right? From 7, nice channel from 7-11 with a touch at maybe 10-12 a.m. We have a nice little trend going where it's set up nicely where we can continue kind of trading up sideways a little bit and maybe start breaking a little bit if it wants to create a nice little pullback.
Yeah, I've got the market profile pulled up on my other computer, so I can't really post it. But it looks like there was no excess in the pre-market, which topped out around 67.94, and then we pushed past that to about 95.96. But again, it looks like, what do we call that, a poor high?
Yeah. What are you seeing on the orders?
Yes, or high for sure.
What are you seeing on the DOM? Do
As
you
far
see
as the
anything up here?
DOM.
Yeah.
Let me see.
We can make a new all-time high today. Not by much. This looks like a spike up, close outside. You got one leg pull, a two-legged pullback, and then you get another leg up top to here. Maybe
Yeah.
6801 ish.
Yeah, the fact
Not
that
much
you
of
got
a
that,
all-time
you
high.
got kind of a double test of that consolidation right there, and it bounced, makes me lean a little bit more bullish on this.
Yeah.
Unless it just, it is kind of at the top of the trend line. So
And guess what
Plus-
time it is? For me, it's the 2 o'clock turnaround time.
the TAT,
Yeah, it could just keep going, but this is a good signal bar to go short. But I think it's just going to keep pushing the rest of the day. Maybe the last 30 minutes we'll get a sell off back into the opening range or something.
yeah. Can you kind of hold that where you're at right now? Actually, maybe just bring it up a little higher. So something I wanted to ask you about, because you're kind of steeped in the Wyckoff theory as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things I've noticed is, let's call this a bull flag, right? You've got the uptrend, then you've got this horizontal consolidation. This actually looks like it probably corresponds to like a Wyckoff range pretty well. But a lot of times when you have a little bull flag, you might only get like 2 touches at the bottom, and then you might get a test of the midline. And generally in Wyckoff, I'm looking for like 3 or 4 tests of the bottom, even a break. especially if we get a nice shakeout and that comes back in. But it's just something I'm playing around with, this idea of like when you have, let's just call it a bull flag pattern, it could be kind of truncated on the horizontal or even diagonal aspect of it, where you don't get necessarily all of those touches, especially if it's in an uptrend. It's almost like it might go touch and take off. And is that something that, like, do you ever try to apply Wyckoff to, technical analysis ideas of like bear flags and bull flags?
Yeah, so to be honest with you, in this structure, I would have liked to have seen a test of a breakout failure and then a breakdown failure. If I was really wanting to go long, I wouldn't have been trying to buy here to go long out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
I would have liked to have seen it break down and fail to go higher.
Yeah.
This looks like this should have come back inside here, like you said, hit the midline and then gone out, or even tested the other side to get that 1, 2, third touch.
Yeah, I find those really high probability trades. This one didn't even make it to the midline. It just tested the top of the range, which to me says this could be retail.
This is all retail, 100%.
So there may not be strength behind it.
Especially if I share my market profile, I'm really. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
So you've got this little GH structure right here. It's only 1 tick excess, and it's really close to the F period low as well. This is all retail buying right here. They're just buying at the lows of these periods, trying to send it higher. I expect if we do make a new to all-time high and it starts to sell, this will be the first target they'll go for, and that should bring them enough momentum to revisit this VPOC from Friday and today's VPOC potentially. So if you're looking for a short, that might be what you want to target back to the center range.
Sorry, I just let's return to app, and I just blew that on the recording.
It's actually a really good short signal just right now that just triggered, but I don't know, it's above the 21 EMA, and we're in a pretty strong uptrend, and we left behind a 4 high.
Just so
Right.
We're on the same page with here. So we're in F period right now, is that right?
For me, we're in J period.
J period. So the profile screen's a little tiny here. So we're talking about these highs here, which is like around 67.95-ish, 96. Is that right?
So yeah, this HI period highs are matching, leaving no excess at all.
Okay.
That's poor. That's retailers selling at the highs, or just a lack of buyers essentially.
Okay, so this first one that's blue and gray, is that the pre-market profile?
To the left. This is, I can't see my cursor, can you? Let me see.
Or maybe that's the volume profile.
Yeah, I have the TPO, which is to the right of this line that is through.
Okay.
You know how else to do it quickly. So this is like the TPO profile. So you have the TPO separated, and then you actually have the market profile to the right of that, where all the TPOs are kind of condensed into the distribution.
Okay.
To the left of that is the overnight profile. It's the one with the green and the blue. That's like the left half of the picture.
Got it. Okay, so the green and the blue over here, this is the overnight profile.
Yeah, and so again, that's separated out too. So you have the TPOs, and then you have the full distribution. Right.
Yeah. So this one right here is the actual, bell-shaped profile, and then this one is separated out, so the full profile you can see.
Correct. You can see the nuances.
Yeah, exactly.
Where there's buying.
So this number up here, it looks like it's about 67.94. This is the high that we were testing, and it's gone a little bit past it.
That's the overnight high. Yep.
That's the overnight high. Okay. And then that red line way at the top, what is that? 6,800?
That's our current all-time high.
That's the ATH.
on
Okay.
Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're only like 4 points away.
We got period 4 high, all of the same level, 796. Probably gonna break it. So,
Yeah, I'm leaning towards it's going to break it. The Nasdaq just pushed above its IB high, and it is stacked to the upside, almost 2/3 heavier to the upside, which is a good indication they think price is going to come up to meet them, unless they can stop it there. But it looks like it's going to push through right now. It's going. Let me pull up the DOM again.
yeah, I'll stop.
No, you're good, dude. Yeah, I really appreciate you throwing that on there, because right now I don't, since I have the market profile on a different computer, I don't have the ability to throw it on the screen. Thinking I could maybe do a screenshot and post it somewhere and then show that, but I try to keep some of my data separate on a second machine, just so that I'm not like crowding everything, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going.
What do you guys think? Do you think if this test that high at 67.99, do you think we break through momentarily, or do you get something crazy where there is a bigger push there, or we get back inside?
I think there's a good chance we break the all-time high right today, before the last 30 minutes of the day. And then I think we fail. I don't think we hold it. We come back in and it closes back inside this way. But I mean, we've been one time framing higher ever since the IB point, essentially. Even that pullback that we had at that 12, guys? Oh no, not doing that. 10 and 11. That pullback is still core. It doesn't technically mean that we've stopped one time framing as far as CPOs are concerned. But this is just short-term buyers just keep pushing this thing and they'll play out higher. If they'll take profit at 6,800 and maybe a little bit higher than that, and I don't know what happens after that. But I don't think they're on top there. Oh, what does our volume look like today? Is it just pretty flat, or is it higher than usual?
There we sort of are. Let's see.
There's just a lot of room for this market to continue trending, though. It's just how it does it, right? Is always, like I was telling Jeremy this. It's been a little bit challenging for me, like in the recent months, just because of being at all-time highs and then like dealing with some of this chop, right? And trying to stay out of it is always the tough part.
Yeah.
We had that clean trend day, which I didn't happen to trade, but Wednesday, that was nice. That was clean. There's no reason you couldn't make money, that day. That was like a gimme, right? So, but outside of that, like maybe it happens once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, we get a trend day once every like maybe 10 trading days, or maybe every 7 trading days. I agree. It's tough.
In the past, getting like those 2-3 a week was
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Like right now, I wouldn't be interested in a short until I saw a steep sell-off to begin, and then again a correction, and then another leg down. Because right now we're in a bull market, and this thing is out of control going higher. So you gotta really know for sure your short is gonna work before you jump in.
Yeah, you got to time it properly. That's why I want to see that test of that all high, maybe a break above, just because you still have 2 hours. That's the only reason I'm optimistic this could come. But what's lingering in the back of my head is that what I've seen the past month and last 2 months, and what I had to kind of relearn is, again, you can't force your will onto the market, and whether the reversal comes or not, I think just being prepared for a possible continuation where everybody's trapped at the high and we do get some fake selling, right? Then that provides the opportunity for continuation, right? And so just being prepared to take that and not being like one-sided where, if the reversal play doesn't come in, it's like, so be it. But there's still, there could still be money to be made. And I've left a lot of money or a lot of trades on the table just because, I've just been biased towards one side or waiting for one side. It just never came. And so I kind of need to open myself up to that other possibility for sure.
And what?
I was just gonna say I like that we're actually sitting here talking about the market because of what the market is doing right now. I wouldn't really want to be in this, and in the past I would look at this and I would say, oh, we're in a bull market, we're in an uptrend, and yeah, it's pulling back real dramatically. I just need to get better at my entries, and I'd be looking for a long entry here, and really just looking at this on the 15-minute, like, you're gonna get stopped out and chopped up.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. And if this is retail that's pushing price, then there's no strength behind it. Maybe if it does hit that 6,800 and it just starts to really take off and get a bunch of volume, that might be a thought. And looking over here at the speed gauge, the pace of tape gauge, you can see it's right in the middle. So generally, I think about this as like RPMs on the engine. When it's revved up to the red zone, there's a lot of momentum. It takes a longer time to break. But if it's just in the green and the yellow, it's more like, it's caution. And this
I
red,
like that thing.
Yeah, this red is showing that there's more sellers. So that little red fan or whatever will turn blue when there's more buyers, and it'll turn red when there's more sellers. So you can see there's just slightly more sellers, just enough to throw it off balance. And it's down here in the green. This is not an entry for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On my tick chart, we're about to close this third candle in a row of selling. 3 red, extremely bearish looking candles in a row, but we're sitting right on top of the 21 EMA, and I like to see multiple tests before you can assume there might be a break on the 21 EMA. And we've tested it a bunch of times. It really could slice through it right here.
Yeah.
And if I was to be short right now for maybe like from 95 or something like that, I'd be definitely looking at that poor structure that I was showing you on the market profile down around 786. That's where I'd really want to put my target at.
As far as being short.
Yeah, for being short, for sure. For long, I would wait for that point and then see if there's going to be buyers there again. Maybe a cleanup of that poor structure, and then we push again higher. But you can't be sure of anything right now. It's good selling, but we are definitely in an uptrend.
I have that 86 marked as the bottom of the consolidation range right here.
Yeah.
So definitely, if
let's see
it
what
breaks
happens there.
92 and it's a short setup, I would probably trade this to 67.89, the midline, maybe aggressively if it were to break down, and maybe hold a runner down to 86. But I'd be curious if this thing, wants to just fully break down or not. There is kind of like an uptrend in there as well. I think maybe we could see it like this. I don't know if that's valid. No, I don't think that's valid.
I do have like a bull channel, an uptrend channel as well. Let me see if it's the same as yours that you just drew.
Yeah, because if you draw it like that, then we've got to break a structure in a new high, which is not good for continuation. But
so I have a channel drawn from the 2. You could even draw it from the 3 higher lows down at your. Let's see, it's your 7. Around the 720 mark, there's 3 lower highs, 3 higher lows. Down at 715ish. Yeah, there's like 1, 2, 3 of them, all in that same area around 670, 67, 70. You could draw a channel like that, and I could even show you.
And then would you kind of move it over like that?
I would even draw it flatter than that, actually. That's super steep, and that definitely is a channel for sure. But I think there's a larger one. Let me share mine real quick. I'll show you what I mean.
Let's see if tune in on that. Let's see.
Okay. Boom, boom. Okay, so this big pinkish purplish line channel here. So you gotta
hang on 1 second. I'm just getting you dialed in here. All right, go ahead.
So I'm gonna try to zoom in because I'll show you these 3 touches. You gotta touch on that candle, you gotta touch on this candle, and you got this candle. You got these 3 higher lows, and they're all higher than the last one.
Yeah.
And so I drew this. I usually draw from the spike, and then I try and find the bodies that correspond with it. But it basically creates this bull channel. So, and actually I would probably draw this. I think I originally had it on just this one coming up. And so we were bumping into the highs of it up here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see my cursor, but if we were to break, I would expect there to be support at the bottom of that channel. So if there does get selling, I'd be looking for buyers to come back in there on that uptrend. Whether or not they hold, I don't know. But they've been holding. If you see, there's been a lot of buying at that midline as well, and there's a lot of congestion at the midline.
Yeah, that's a good sign. I always look for that.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. You had this channel, this green channel, riding up as well. That definitely was a good channel to play if you could buy along here.
Well, yeah, and so that again, you've got to break a structure there. Tested a new high. It's tested the new high twice, and so far it's failed. So to me, there's I would just say there's a rotation happening, and certainly potential for that to test the bottom of that purple downtrend. Or uptrend, sorry, the uptrend. That could take us down to what, 67.84, something like that.
Yeah, this area, and that's the overnight point of control, which was pretty congested right there at that level too. Typically, when I see a spike like this green channel that was going up, and you get a break of that, I typically look to see if there's going to be 2 more legs to a new high. Now we've already got the new high, but it really feels like we've only done 1 leg. We had a correction, and then it looks like we're starting a second leg, which is why I was identifying this 6801 area as potentially the buyer's target on the shorter term.
Gotcha. So that would be kind of utilizing the idea of like a 2-legged correction that's moving upwards.
Exactly. Exactly. After a break from that spike up that we had, this spike.
Yeah, because once it breaks from the spike up, it's in some sort of corrective phase. So that makes a lot of sense. I saw you talking about that earlier too, where you used the 2-legged correction that's still moving up to trade off of, and I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, it allows you to not have to get the start of the move. You can get in when you're done with the first leg of the move, and maybe you can get that second leg, and you can still make a lot. You can still get a lot of points out of that.
Yeah.
Especially like it was on Friday. I mean, there was a million ticks that you could have gotten here. Let's see though. I mean, we're butting up against the top of this channel. There's really nowhere else to go. It looks like it does need to correct in order to come back. And maybe we already did the 2 legs to a new high, and so it can correct.
Yeah, there's definitely 3 tests of that upper trend line.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Run out of time for this day. So, there's only so much that can happen, it feels like. Unless it's like one of those days where we approach close and this thing is at the highs and just absolutely rocket ships. Maybe a little bit after hours. But I dropped in like a screenshot in the chat of like how I typically like to break, and this is just to like chart and kind of explain what I was seeing as well. Is I break it up into 3 quarters. I remember telling Jeremy this, but the first quarter is what I call 7 to 9 a.m. right? First quarter, and then 9 to 11 a.m. second quarter, and 1 p.m. the third quarter, right? We have let me see. Should I share my screen?
Yeah.
Make sure that way you guys can kind of see.
You probably have to add it to the list of.
Yeah. All right.
Look at this. We were just getting choppy again.
I don't
Okay.
know. Can you guys see?
Yeah, I got you pulled up now.
Yeah. So I just took a screenshot, and I was actually just let's see. Yeah. Kind of just drew on this just to kind of highlight this point, but this 6:30 to 7 a.m. open, I kind of just mark it like anybody else would, right? But then 7 to 9 a.m. is what I call that first quarter, and we can see obviously we had this sort of choppy trend,
Yeah.
really just chopping up. Then for the second period, second quarter, we have the consolidation period, then the breakout, and then
Breakout
this
test.
range that was created above, right?
Yeah.
That we've been kind of talking about. And now at this point for the final period, there's only so much like nice opportunities that can come from this, at least the way I tend to trade. The one that I was talking about was, and Dave was pointing this out as well, is that we could still have that second leg or those two legs up to test, break those highs or whatever the case may be. But I just don't know how much runway we have, right? Like how much steam the market can build up to actually continue. It's possible. I don't know. But really the only pullback now at this point, because it's getting later, and I don't know what the market's doing right now, but would be maybe this pullback off of the break of this, maybe this continuation channel here, maybe. But even then, I don't really like the setup, because what this kind of shows me is like a balanced market at these levels, right? It doesn't show me that, like you said, we're in a longer term buying market, even short term buying. We just continue to chop our way up. So do I really want to fight for 14 18 ticks, maybe 20 24 if I'm lucky, right?
And
Right,
risk, you know,
right.
that
It's not worth
yeah,
it.
all the risk that you have to
it's
take.
it's not worth the pullback. If anything, maybe the continuation. Where are we at right now? This is spot. Maybe the
Just-
continuation play is better at this point. But even then, I just don't see a place where I would want to get in on a trade right now, and probably not really at all anymore for this day.
I would want to see this market to start speeding up and to start to break a ton of structure, and then to reevaluate where it might go. I think you need to see something like that occur before you can take any trade, or at least from my standpoint. Like, I can't touch it until it starts to really move and starts to really start breaking structure.
Right. Like maybe with this little pullback, we can trap some people and maybe get a nice little continuation. But it has to be clean, and I just don't see that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing there's a lot of buyers trying to push, and they're getting sold down on. So
Yep.
that to me is liquidation. They're using retail to dump profits on us, basically. Interesting to note that the bond market is inverse to the futures market today, which is good. Usually that's a good bullish signal. But we've had the opposite quite a few times this year. VIX is down a bit, 1650. Looks like gold is holding steady. GameStop's come down a bit. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of these green tickers are kind of like, it's almost like they're topping out. Although Google and Microsoft look strong. GME.
Videos look flat.
Yeah, Nvidia's
Hovering around
red.
UAP.
Videos red and just ranging.
Yeah.
Just struggling to hold VWAP. I have a good example of when there's a spike, a break of structure, and then two legs to like either a new low or a new high that occurred today at the low.
Yeah, that's
That's why I took that. Let me show you what I was looking at today.
You see here, like, I see this candle break above, and it feels like the continuation wants to come in, but I just wouldn't be ready.
It almost
To
looks
get
like
in
a
long
triple
here?
test. Like you have one test there,
Right.
a second test there because you can see it broke the previous candle, and this would be a third one. No
I need
body
to
is
see this.
closed.
I need to see this take
Yeah.
out the 1025 high. What was that? The what level was that? 6795, 6796.
Yeah, in here.
And then we still have the double top possibility at the high where, you know, could still be met with some rejection, but we'll see how that goes.
So this is what I was looking at this morning when it was coming down inside this channel. There's a couple reasons why I took this short down here on the screen. We had there's a couple different things. So this is the high of the pre-market, and we came down, and the first major correction was right here in the center here. So if this was one leg down, your second leg I was aiming for was actually down here at the 760s area. But what I was really keying into was this channel right here. It's just 3 candles in a row, but that constitutes a spike. You had a break from this channel, and then you had 2 legs down outside of that. So you had 1 leg on this all the way to this low at 67.70, which for me was previous day's value area low, Friday's value area low. And there was like kind of a ugly two-legged correction that got you right down to a second leg down here. So you have the spike, break of structure, one leg down, and then a second leg down, and we came basically right to the tick there.
Yeah.
And so I was also expecting this to be this orange range here as we closed back inside of it after looking outside of it. That was essentially why I went long. I still felt like it was pretty risky because obviously it's the low a day, and that's why I only got out like 4 points higher.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I'm looking for when I see a spike of any sort. And it's with the trend. I'm gonna look for 2 more legs, just from the emotional momentum that short-term traders are printing in there. But typically that's kind of like the target that they're looking for. So again, like on this green spike, that's why I'm saying, okay, we got to break a structure. We created this range. We're looking for 1 leg. This is definitely a leg here, this green one. Are we trying to put in a second leg? Have we already done it? I mean, we've got a new high. Those corrective legs in the same direction usually go and get a new high or a new low, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not a measured second leg. It should break these all-time highs if they've got enough momentum to do it. So
Right. And that's why if it does happen right now, that's why I like to be part of the second group that comes in, right, to clean it up after. But I gotta see I gotta have them show me the proof,
Yep.
Especially after what we've seen, like you said, that consolidation period we've had.
Oh, we lost your audio.
Yeah, cut out a little bit there.
I'm just looking at the DOM right now on ES, and it's pretty balanced. There's a little bit more to the upside, but it's stacked, which to me says it could be stopping it. The volume, as far as the session volume profile, is really running out of. There's not much above 67.96. 95.75 had 3,000 lots traded, and above that, we're looking at. Gosh, there's like 42 lots traded at 97.25, which is not bullish unless volume starts coming in. To me, that looks like it's going to pull back to the session VPOC, which is 67.94, and it's just been printing that range almost the whole time we've been talking.
Right. It's just been chopping through. It's creating another range on top of a range, or maybe that range I should double it up and see if we've hit the top of that. 100% extension. We've done 100% extension from that previous consolidation zone. So I don't know. It's too slow. It's too slow to take any trades for me.
Yeah. I mean, if I was just on my own right now, I might have tried something, but I'm actually really glad I'm talking to you guys while this is going on, because you get more clarity. It's like
you do.
Yeah,
for sure. very
I'm
tempting.
curious, when you just said it had reached the 100% extension, where were you measuring that from?
Oh, I meant so. Let me do this. I'll share it one more time. So for this orange range, I basically just doubled it up,
Oh, gotcha.
and you can see we already we actually looked above and came back in. And look, we've wrestled with the midline of a second range essentially.
Yeah.
So this could be one giant range. It could just really be, this thing. And we wrestled with the midline for a long time. And now we're hanging out in the upper tier of it. Now I really screwed myself up by doing this. Delete that out. Basically put that there.
I think the thing I'm taking from this, just from our conversation so far about what's happening right now, is there's not a lot of for sure. A lot of
Right.
unknown, a lot of maybe, a lot of it could do this, but like there's not like a setup that's just screaming it's going to do this, and I think
Exactly.
try to
It's just in a
Valid.
bad place. Bad place, slow speed.
slow speed.
Yeah.
Although the pace of tape just picked up into the red, it's definitely heavy on the sell side, which tells me somebody's taking profit at that high. I think they're just liquidating retail again. I think
This could be.
they're teasing us, that it's at the ATH or just under it, and everyone's jumping in long, and they're just dumping on us.
These are all risky. Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually use green for risky trades. Try and mark them. Whether or not they play out, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you say that as well, Jeremy, because if you think about it from the buy side, like number one, we've just been chopping, consolidating, and like you said, there's nothing screaming saying like we got to get long here yet.
Mm-hmm.
On the contrary, on the sell side, same thing. Yeah, we're at the highs, but we're at nearing all-time highs, right?
Yeah.
And there's no significant structure. Remember, we had that consolidation period on Friday that actually resulted into selling. That's
Yeah.
the type of action you want to see if you're a seller, right? But that is gone. That opportunity to create some sort of selling is gone with that leg that broke out at 10:20 a.m. or whatever.
Agree.
So that's kind of
100%
out the
agree.
window, right? So
We
you
should have
don't-
broke down from there.
Yeah,
not
they
broke out.
really needed that. They really needed that. And even then, though, there was just poor structure. I think it was just a range. If anything, at best, the sellers could have provided a ranging day, into maybe like VWAP and a little bit below maybe the lower VWAP band. But even then, there wasn't really too much opportunity for continuation at this point.
Yeah.
This was the last place to buy right here, in my opinion. It's the bottom of this range. You had a touch at the bottom of the range. You had a pull back, and there was buying in it.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, right? Where I'm like, okay, like this looks okay, but I just haven't seen enough to want to get in a little bit early, and not get chopped up. But it was a good area where you have a tight stop and you can kind of live with maybe testing the high and it reversing on you, but at least you can come away break even maybe with a free opportunity, had you taken that trade.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just to mention, there's a lot of volume coming in on the buy side right now on the NASDAQ and on the pace of tape. It looks like they're trying to push to that all-time high at 6,800. So I'm kind of curious if they're going to achieve that.
I wonder if we'll break it. I think we're gonna get close to it. I think there's
Yeah.
a chance we might just stall and fail at just maybe a couple ticks before it.
That's the
I'm
carrot.
looking at
That's the carrot that they're dangling, right?
Exactly.
There. And,
Carrot.
and here's the thing. Here's what I feel like. What I'm starting to see a little bit is, number one, we're about an hour and a half away from 1 p.m. Or 4 p.m. or whatever. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, Eastern time is 4 p.m. Right? 4 p.m. close.
Yeah, it's 2:30 here
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, so we're about an hour and a half. We still have a lot of time for this to to play another range, right? And we still have a target, a clear target, to hit. So I can see where there could be an opportunity for a long, should this break out here. right? I don't want to be a part of the breakout or a speculation part of this leg, but I would like to see it pull back and maybe provide an opportunity to squeeze some ticks. But
I don't think we're gonna
I mean,
get it. We've been
yeah.
one time framing basically since the end of the morning. We haven't stopped going higher on like the 30-minute chart. The market.
Right,
profile.
that's what I'm saying. Is I do think there is an opportunity for a continuation
Connection lost.
if we do get it here. If we get this breakout, maybe a pullback. I just think there's still enough time to do it, but we could just chop in this upper range area and create that that liquidity that they need for maybe tomorrow or the following days, maybe Wednesday, right? Who knows?
Right.
Yeah,
And now
just-
that higher low actually starts another channel, another bull channel higher. We're just wrestling with the midline of it now. If you look at my chart, the yellow channel I just drew in, I got a lot of lines here, but
I'm looking at the
could just-
the market profile right now, and the J period, which is the last period, and the K period, the current period, are exactly equal to the tick.
Poor high.
Yeah, poor high. We didn't push past it.
I think we're gonna get that though. Looks like they're trying to. My last 2000 tick candle was not even. It was only 3 ticks wide.
Oh,
Running out of buyers, I think,
yeah, that's
or it's bait.
yeah, it could be bait, but I mein, they're definitely sticking it to the buyers in that candle.
Yep. It's so slow.
Yeah, I'm glad we got a chance to do this. I had a lot going on this morning during the open. I know, Dave, you had stuff going on, and I wanted to jump in and trade, and it just wasn't the right time to do it. So I wasn't going to be able to get on until, the second or hour or so, and I really don't like to trade that as much. So it was great to get in here and kind of, do some analysis of the market and to watch it with you guys. I'm going to go ahead and close out the video portion of this. We managed an hour and 21 minutes, so that's really good.
Is that a record?
We've gone longer, but there's a point where my computer just craps out and is like, I can't take it. So it used to start beeping. One time I was on here with Nigel and my computer just started beeping at me. It was like, I'm dying, stop. So
Well, I appreciate you doing it.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
yeah, I'm just gonna just mention our at Premium FTS Discord link on X. It's free to join. We're on here usually discussing things weekly, and we trade every morning from the New York Open live in Discord. And please feel free to join. Hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and we'll catch you on the next one.